Hi, I'm Courtney from Iron Mountain Farm. Today I'm going to make cheese with goat milk. I have quite a bit right now. But I realized I hadn't talked too much about how we milk around here. So first I'm going to show you some of our equipment. We have Nigerians, we do use a machine to milk. I tried milking by hand. I have not been successful at it. My daughters can do it. They're little and they have little hands. I find that the Nigerians are, they're low to the ground, so they have short legs, and even in the milking stand, it's hard for me to get under. And they have very small teats, and I have good size hands. So I looked into other goats when we were choosing which goats we were going to have. And, something like a Nubian probably would be a lot easier for me to milk by hand. But we don't have the space for them, and they're really the Nigerians are really easy for us to handle, and they have lovely personalities. So let me show you the machine that we use. So this is our milking machine. We use it even though we're milking just 2 goats, but I can show you all the little pieces to it. So this cord here connects to the vacuum, the pump. And this is the overflow cord. Clearly with 2 goats, I do not overflow this bucket yet, but I'm optimistic. These here just attach to the teats. The milk flows into here. And this other end of the cord right here, you attach to the vacuum. And that's all there is to it. There's a rubber gasket under here, so these seal on. What I really like about it is how clean the milk is. There's nothing that gets in the milk at all. So that has been something that I've enjoyed. Hi. So I have 3 quarts of milk. These are pint containers. Usually when I do this, I use 4 quarts. I usually make it with a gallon at a time. I don't have quite that much right now. We're only milking once a day. Dobby hasn't quite settled into the milking stand again yet, so we're not getting as much from her as we should be. So this is mostly Minna's milk. When I bring it in the morning and I take it out of the milker, then it gets poured first through this here, which has a screen on top, and that filters out anything, any larger particles that might be in it. There isn't much, but it still is the first level of filtering that we do. It then gets put in the jars and is immediately refrigerated. Keeping goat milk cold really helps preserve its freshness and helps keep the flavor what you want. So I'm going to show you the rest of my equipment too. So other things you need for this. We're going to make farmer's cheese. And this is a really simple cheese that's made fresh. It's crumbly. It is the only cheese I have mastered so far. So I'm going to teach you how I make it because I made a lot of it last summer. We use it for, well, the kids just come and eat it on crackers. Tonight, I'm making taco salad because the girls have track and my son has soccer. So taco salad is a very easy meal that they can kind of eat as they come in. And so I'm making it to go on top of that. It's also really good in lasagna. I use it for stuffed shells. I put it on top of salads. I also found that it freezes really well. We have one of those, well, kids call it a food laminator, but one of those preservers that sucks all the air out of and pressure seals food. So that's what I put the cheese in that and put it in the freezer. And then I can pull it out in the winter when we're not getting milk and make lasagna with it. So that has been, I'm glad that I discovered that aspect of preservation. Okay, so you need a large stainless steel pot. You need this sort of slotted, this I find works better than a spoon, but a slotted spoon I'm sure would work fine if that's what you have. You need a thermometer. a tall one if you're using a tall pot. And then this is for straining the cheese. This is just it's actually a steamer that goes with that pot, but it conveniently fits in this pot here. And so I use it to drain the whey out. And you also need cheesecloth. So I use reusable cheesecloth, and this I can just line the colander over there, the strainer, and then when I'm done with it, I wash it out and reuse it. So long as you keep them very clean, then that's fine. And it's of course more economical and sustainable than buying new cheesecloth over and over again. The only other ingredient that you absolutely need for making this farmer's cheese is some sort of acid to make the curd separate from the whey. Today I'm going to use distilled white vinegar. I prefer cider vinegar if I have that, which I don't today. My favorite is actually lemon juice. That's what I really like. But for today's example, I'm going to use this because it does separate the best with this. It separates not quite as well with the lemon, but I tend to at least just a hint of a flavor behind in the cheese. So to me, it kind of depends what I'm making, and also what I'm going to do with the whey, what I use this for, or sorry, what type of acid I use. So the ratio is a half a cup of acid to a gallon of milk. So I have, like I said, I only have 3 quarts of milk as opposed to a gallon. So I just have slightly less than half a cup. So the first thing I'm going to do is filter the milk one more time. So I have this filter right here, which goes in here, and we just set it in here. And then I just filter it one last time as I pour it into the pot. So the goat milk is more naturally homogenized than cow's milk. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, it has very little separation of the cream on top. You still want to give it a little shake, just because that's where the butter fat is, and you want that in your cheese. So you really want to make sure you get all of that out of the jar that you're bottle that you're using. So then, just take it, pour it through here. Okay, I've got the milk all filtered. This is 3 quarts. So now I'm just going to turn on my thermometer here, clip it to the edge of the pan. And set the burner to pretty low. And what we're looking for is 195 degrees Fahrenheit. The milk is raw, but because we're heating it to that temperature, that's all I do with it. I have pasteurized it in the past for this cheese, but it didn't taste as good to me. So I figure that heating it as much as I do is enough to kill anything. But I doubt the FDA would think that. So while the milk's coming up to temperature, I like to get the bowl prepared that I'm going to spice the cheese with. Because I'm making a taco salad tonight, then this batch of cheese, I'm going to spice with cayenne pepper and cilantro. So The cayennes are ones that we grew last summer from our garden, and then we just dried them, and I just chop them up throughout the winter until I get new ones in July and August. So we're running out here, so I'm glad we're getting the garden going. So this, because the cheese is it's a mild cheese, then I tend to crack it open and remove the veins and the seeds from it, or it will really overpower it. It depends again when you use these dried cayennes, who you're cooking for and what you're cooking. Um, depending on how much you want. So this is what I have here. So that's the dried cayenne. And then same thing, I have dried cilantro because, well, this is much better with fresh cilantro. It's April and I don't have fresh cilantro yet. So the first thing I do is I'm just going to put some oil in the bottom of the bowl. It's just olive oil. And I just do that so that my spices start to rehydrate. Okay, I'm going to add the cayenne pepper, my cilantro, grind some black pepper into it. Again, you can flavor this with whatever you want. When I'm using it for lasagna or stuffed shells, then I tend to put our fresh pesto in it. This is salt. Like I said, it's a mild cheese, so it does need a fair amount of salt. And then I'm just going to mix it all together in with the oil just to start to rehydrate everything. Just to bring out the flavor. I find it helps flavor the cheese a little bit better if it's rehydrated some. So that's all I'm going to do with that. And then I'm just going to let it sit until it's ready for the cheese. Almost there. There we go, 195. So I'm just going to shut the heat off, move it off the burner. Then I'm going to add in the vinegar. So I'm going to just add this in. Just give it a little stir. That's all. You can see it's already starting to separate. Now that I don't need the thermometer in it, I'm going to put a lid on it. Now I'm just going to set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes. I'll probably start with 10, and we just let it sit here in the pot on a cool burner for about 10, 12 minutes, whatever you decide. We're going to check it at 10 though. There we go. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. Let's see what we've gotten here. Ooh, 10 minutes might have been enough. That looks pretty good. Let me show you. There you go. You can see the curds have separated from the whey. And they're in good sized chunks. So I can scoop them out now. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use my slotted spoon and scoop the whey into the pot over here, which remember has a layer of cheesecloth over the colander. Okay, so that gets all the whey, separates the curds from the whey. This looks good. So those are the curds that I have here. And then this is the whey that I have left over here. So now that I have the curds all separated, then I'm just going to kind of make a little sack out of this. Like this. And just kind of give it a little spin. There we go. It just squeezes it a little bit. Press it down a little bit. And then we just leave it here for 20 to 30 minutes to let it drain. In general, I like using 20 minutes. That's just a personal preference. I tend to like the cheese a little more moist. The longer you let it sit, the drier it gets. So it really depends on your personal preference and what you're using it for. So we'll come back to this in 20 minutes. So the whey that I have left over, I do use some of it. I'm unable to use all of the whey that we have. I assume most cheesemakers run into the same situation, which is there's much more than you can use. What I tend to use it for is to marinate meats. I also use it to soak beans in when I make black bean soup or anytime when I'm soaking beans. The probiotics in them really help. They're really great for breaking down the fiber in beans. They make them more digestible. And then same thing for meat. It makes it very tender meat. I will strain this one more time with that cheesecloth once I take that cheese out, and then the tiny bits that are left in here that I couldn't get out, the tiny bits of curd. Miley has those with her lunch, and she just thinks it's fabulous. So yeah, that's what people who raise pigs feed the whey to their pigs. I don't raise pigs, so so I use what I can, and the rest goes out. But this I'll save. It's our first batch, so this I'll use for marinades. So I left this in another 6 minutes, so it's been in 26 minutes total now, and it feels about how I like it. Again, this is a personal preference decision. It depends how you like it, what you're using it for. Um, so yeah, so I'm ready to unwrap it and drop it in my oil and spices here. See here. So now you can just break it up with a fork. Get these nice curds. My oil picked up the colors from the red pepper from the cayenne. There we go. That looks pretty good. So now it's time to try it, see if it needs any more seasoning. I've missed that. I think it's good. I think it could handle a touch more salt, but I don't think I want to put granulated in because it might be, sorry, I don't want to put the fresh ground because it might be a little too chunky. It won't dissolve how I want it to. I'll put this finer salt in and try that. That's perfect. So now all I'm going to do is put a lid on it and chill it in the refrigerator until I make taco salad tonight, and try to keep my kids away from it until then. So I told you this is the only cheese that I have perfected so far. My goal this summer, I've set a personal goal to to do chèvre and feta. So those are the next two I'm going to be working on. And once I get those worked out, then I will certainly share them with you. But I'll probably do several batches by myself without the camera before I show you what I've done. There are other things that I will show you. We've only been one season milking. We switched the entire family over to goat milk last summer when we started getting a lot of milk. So that's all we drink. It's what we use in cereal. It's what I cook with. It's what goes in my tea. But I make yogurt with it. I make macaroni and cheese with it. I make the kids' favorite, which is chocolate pudding with it. So there's a lot that I do with it, and I'll certainly share some. Oh, and caramel. I make goat milk caramels, which I sell. That's kind of the one thing that I make for profit, that I make and sell. Um, and yeah, so I will show you some of those other things as milking season progresses here, and I'm going to work on those other two cheeses. So thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Iron Mountain Farm.